My name's Tracy Sheets. I have lived in this area since about '86. I moved to the Caldwell area then to finish up high school. My dad was an air traffic controller and got transferred to this area. I came from a little tiny school and didn't want to jump into the 5A schools here, so we moved out to Caldwell. Graduated San Houston and then with a criminal justice degree, and then got hired at College Station in '93. It was more than a career. Much like being in the military, law enforcement becomes a lot of who you are. It's in the blood. To me, it was a way to be very involved in the community, to help people, to make a difference, to give back. And so it kind of meant all of that to me. It occurred early in the morning on January 10th, 2010, but I actually was going to work on January 9th. I worked a night shift. I went in at 11 p.m. Got up that day like normal. It was still during Christmas break for the colleges, so it was a pretty slow time for us. And so we sat through briefing and went out and started taking the first few calls, and it wasn't that busy. And I was going to be gone the next week to a crime scene class. And I had some paperwork that needed to be done, some follow-ups on cases. And so I came in to get that done. I finished what I was doing, and then another call came in, and it was actually down in my beat of calls of cars either racing or mudding. And so I put my paperwork on my sergeant's desk and I headed out to go to that call. I was looking more for people mudding or suspicious activity, and I turned off on a street and looked up in the construction areas, and the main street I was on was Eagle, so I turned off on another street, and I didn't find anybody, so I came back out on Eagle and I proceeded, and I was going westbound. And as I was going west, I saw headlights coming at me, and I started the thought that those headlights were going really fast, and I never really had a chance to finish that thought. The next thing I knew, I was experiencing the worst pain that I'd ever felt in my life. It felt like every bone in my ankle and my foot were being crushed. And then I was just dazed for a little bit. I don't really know how long. I don't know if, I don't think I even though I'd registered the pain, I don't know that I realized at first what had happened. I couldn't move. My legs were pinned in the car. Nothing in my car was where it was supposed to be. I went to call for help once I realized that I was stuck in my car, and it was because I'd been involved in a crash. And from the reconstruction, it showed I was going 15 miles an hour. The car that hit me just my side of center head on, and was traveling at over 80 miles an hour, about 81 at the time of impact. It was a Maserati, so it was built for speed and had 4 occupants. The driver was a 21-year-old female whose blood results showed she was twice the legal limit. I had a broken hip that was caused by my left knee hitting the dashboard, and that shoved my femur out through my hip and broke my left hip. My pelvis was broken. I had all of the ribs on my right side were fractured. Had an injury to my right hand. I had an abrasion and injury to my forehead. My left knee, I have a non-functioning ACL, and that it hasn't been fixed. Basically, I'll have to have a knee replacement at some point. My right ankle had numerous more breaks than I can even count. They said that the only time they've seen that particular set of fractures is in airline crashes because of the sheer forces involved due to the speeds. I am doing a lot of speaking with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They were very instrumental in helping me through the different processes, probably in keeping my sanity to an extent. And so I'm able to give back through getting out and speaking with them. I've also become a volunteer victim advocate. I also am able to go to schools and talk with the students whenever they have alcohol awareness times come about, and tell my story and talk with them about decision making and how it applies not just to drinking and driving, but any decision, that they don't live in a bubble, and it affects, it's a ripple effect. It affects, a lot of, any decision they make has consequences, good or bad, and that those decisions affect people far-reaching out and not just short-term, long-term. As hard as it is to leave law enforcement, something good has to come out of this. And the fact that I can still go out and make a difference and help people, which is what you do in law enforcement, is a really good thing. You just have to search for it when something like this happens, and you have to be open to the opportunities when they come to you. And it took a little while to see that. But having those opportunities and being able to do those things is so wonderful. And so those are definitely really good things to come out of it. It doesn't take a lot of brain power, and it's not going to take a lot of time out of your day to plan ahead for things like that. If you have a group you go out with all the time, it's better to spend a few dollars on a taxi to go from your dorm or your apartment to a club at home than it is to kill someone or get killed because you've been drinking and driving. And it all comes down to decision making. And it's what I try so hard to stress to the high school kids. There's good and bad consequences for everything, and you may think it's not ever going to happen to me, or I'm going to be the only one affected if I get into a crash because I've been drinking. And that's not true. Your friends and your family would much rather get a phone call that says, hey, I've had a little bit too much to drink and I didn't plan for it. Would you come and pick me up and bring me home? They'd rather get that phone call than to get a phone call from a police officer that you're in a hospital critically injured or that you're dead because you made a bad decision.